Hello and welcome to Post Perspective TV. I'm Dana McCallum, and we are covering once again NAB season, seeing as how we couldn't be at NAB again this year. But we're still rolling, and we are still happy to have with us today Lance Maurer from Cinnafilm. Hi, Lance. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Dana. It's great to be here.
It's great to see you like this. I wish I had gotten to see you in Vegas.
Oh, likewise. I know I do miss people's faces for sure. And yours is one I especially miss. So glad
Oh,
to be here with you today.
thank you, Lance. Now I'm going to be blushing on video. Um, but April, I'm feeling good about April. I'm crossing fingers and toes that April we can all be in Vegas together.
Yeah, I think everyone is. I think everybody, if they're like me, miss the face-to-face time and getting the chance to shake hands and pat backs and stuff like that. I really miss it. So I'm fingers crossed for April. I'm with you.
And in the meantime, our world has kept rolling on. Work keeps rolling. A lot of work keeps
Yeah.
rolling on these days. So let's dive in with some product developments.
Sure.
PixelStrings, one of your big product initiatives. How
Yep.
long ago God, it feels like yesterday, but PixelStrings is now what, 3 years old?
Yeah, very close. We started the project in early 2017 and did a soft launch in 2018, as you recall.
Mhm.
And so we've been pretty much been onboarding clients now for about 3 years now. Yeah, right.
And anything, folks, well, actually, first of all, for folks who aren't familiar with PixelStrings,
Mhm.
can you give the penny overview and then any developments, the updates you would have been talking about?
So PixelStrings is our software as a service platform. We've been selling image processing solutions into the media and entertainment space for over a decade now. Built our business primarily on the OEM model, but as the cloud became a thing and a resource, we realized it would be nice to have our own solution set because there are some things that we would like to see done in particular media workflows that aren't necessarily done by everybody. And so this SaaS is sort of our uncompromised version of how we see the world and how we see things should be done in certain types of workflows. We've been building on it since 2017. It started with the acquisition of Radiant Grid that year. And then we took that apart and built our own enterprise transcoder, and then have spent a lot of time building a infrastructure around that platform. So basically, PixelStrings is like our Microsoft Office, and all the products you know us for are like Word and Excel. That's our Tachyon, our dark energy. And it's available both in the cloud and on-prem. That's been a bit of a challenge. We thought we took the cloud thing down first, thinking the on-prem part would be simple, but it's actually grown in complexities. I guess we can get into that in a little bit. So what's new with PixelStrings for us? Constant working on it. One thing the pandemic's afforded us is some extra thinking time and some drill down focus on improving some things, because working in the cloud is complex. There's a lot of machines, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So there's a lot of design and infrastructure that you're constantly polishing to make it all work. So I've got, in general, one of the main focuses is API power and automation. I think that's been a primary focus, both with people that are using the cloud system and the on-prem system. People are starting to build their own internal systems and ecosystems and being API friendly. So we are basically a big robot, either in the sky or in the closet down the hall. Being able to make that automation happen and flow very easily has been the big design focus for us. We've been working with several customers to really hone that. And then, secondary to that is as we start to grow the cloud system, what we're discovering, we're trying to make a self-serve system that makes a lot of sense to people's businesses. And you can make all the guesswork at the beginning that you can imagine based on experience, but until you get out there in the field, you start integrating this into studios and broadcasters' day-to-day routines, you really don't know what they're going to need. So there's been a lot of attention on trying to match both the financial infrastructure of the tool set and the operational infrastructure to their day-to-day business needs. And so that's just a learning process. And so fortunately for us, we haven't had to, I look at the glass half full. So not having to go to trade shows for the last year and a half, which is a bummer because we get to see all the people we like working with, but it's afforded us extra development time face-to-face with the clients that are on the system. So I feel we've actually gained a lot of momentum with the tool set as a result.
Any other product updates in any of the other anchors? Tachyon, is there anything we should just?
Yes, for sure. Tachyon is our most well-known product. It isn't available in PixelStrings, but we're on version 10 now for those that are Tachyon users. We've spent a lot of time improving the quality of the deinterlacing, so a lot of attention and focus on making the very best possible progressive frames for streaming. That's been a lot of the focus too. I didn't really point on that for PixelStrings. You know, we came from cinema initially with the image processing, and then evolved into broadcast, and now we're sort of combining the two philosophies and solely focused on streaming. So a lot of attention to detail on the standards and the workflows that are necessary to provide high quality streaming is where everything's headed. So for example, Tachyon 10, another thing that we developed that some folks were asking for is pinpoint accuracy on the last frame. And when you're doing scene by scene, very complicated, sciency, alchemic type operations on the media, you can't always predict exactly where that last frame goes. Well, that's a problem if you're wrapping an IMF, or the audio and the picture have to be precise. So that took a lot longer than we thought we would, but that's new in Tachyon 10 as well.
And we should probably just talk about the elephant in the room, which we kind of touched on already, which is the pandemic. I would think that Cinnafilm was sort of well poised to serve people as we've worked through this last year and a half. Has this changed your product approach, your company and your team approach?
Yeah, well, great question. Well, we're sort of in the right place at the right time, and that's we didn't plan on this being a thing, right? We started the cloud process, like I said, in 2017, thinking this is where everything's headed, and we have literally poured all of our R&D energy into that. And so I feel that, you know, once the pandemic hit and people were starting to really have to put to task the efforts of going to the cloud and moving operations to the cloud or into virtual private networks, that we had about a 3-year head start on the process. So where some other folks might be going into boardrooms with great PowerPoint slides, we're going into boardrooms with working software. I mean, we actually can flip open a laptop and present every bit of software I've been talking about today, instant access, and run a job, you know, professional job on the fly in AWS. It's pretty amazing. So one thing I would like to add to that is we definitely have seen an uptick in cloud adoption. It's always been this bell curve of, to the left of the middle point is, you know, forward thinking, sort of risk taking folks that know they need to go there, and to the right of the line is everybody that may be thinking about it, or maybe, you know, they've got a lot of sunk investment. They don't want to not take advantage of that. And then you've got some that just don't want anything to do with the cloud. So we've always looked at, well, we're going to be marketing and focused on the left side of that bell curve, but you don't always know who's who when you're going into these conversations. So a lot of what's happened has been mutual education between us and the customer. You know, here's what we've learned. Here's how we can set you up and get these things going. Here's some things we see not work, and then listening intently to the customer, and they tell us what's worked for them and what's not. Because the cloud sounds like this simple, easy, marvelous, perfect place to do business.
Doesn't it just sound pretty and peaceful?
No, it's not. But what we can do is we can team up together and come up with solutions together. So the conversations have gotten a lot easier about the cloud. It does seem that since the pandemic has hit, that people are definitely starting to push product there, and not just product there, their workflows there, and their budgets, which is most important for us.
Right. Yeah, if we didn't talk about the cloud, I think we would have got kicked out of trade show interviews. So I'm glad you touched on that. Anything else you're seeing from your users in their cloud adoption models? I mean, obviously, people who were hesitant before have been forced into it. People who were rushing into it before are now in a full hurdle. But anything else that you feel has been interesting you've seen from your users' perspective?
I think that there's been, so I would say that less security is definitely a big component of the entire way all of this stuff works. And so that's an ongoing battle, but it's not the first thing the customers speak about anymore. I know it's super important to them, but really it's about making all of this work, and then the financial components not catching them by surprise. I mean, everybody's still working around the egress problem from the cloud, which is taking your content out once it's up there. Everyone's still working around, you know, the idiosyncrasies of big cloud providers and the way that they create their financial models. So No real surprises. Just I would say that by and large, it's been a pleasant surprise that people are being much more open to experimentation than they used to be. And it's surprising. Like one of the benefits of our cloud solution is that anybody can just go in and sign up and run it. The problem is when someone at gmail.com signs up, we don't know who that is until we follow up with them. So, but that freedom for people to start experimenting, and it's also a cultural shift. You're starting to see from the boardroom down that it's okay to experiment. It's okay to start looking at these things, and we all know we need to get in there. So that's been a relief, frankly, because when you gamble the whole thing like we've done on a cloud SaaS system, and not just cloud but on-prem, but this concept in general of operating expenditures versus capital expenditures, it was getting a little worrisome. And I hate that the pandemic is something that's made this easier because it's such a horrible thing that's happening. But the reality is that it's forcing our industry's hand, and I think in the long term in a good way.
So the last time we sat down together, which I think gosh actually would have been in April of 2020 virtually,
Wow.
right?
Time flies.
We had your partners from Skywalker Sound join us.
That's right.
I'm assuming you're still working together. Has that partnership evolved at all? Anything
Yes.
to update us on?
Yeah. So anytime you bring a new technology to the market, even if it's ready, it takes a year until it's really ready, and then it takes another year until it's really ready. So I'm happy to
that last part.
it's we can be as optimistic as we want, but reality always ends up winning. But we are now at a point with the SkySound intellectual property that it's working very well. We've worked out all the kinks, some very complicated functionality, especially with regards to wormhole and retiming segmentation. These are really, really complex little operations, and you don't want to leave any frames or any audio samples behind. And so they've done a remarkable job of just shoring up the product, and basically, they've got the loudness and channel mix map, and they've made it automated on a scene by scene basis, and it handles all the modern streaming requirements. So it's as simple as selecting iTunes or selecting Netflix or selecting Disney Plus, whatever international or national standard. And what's great is they're the pros. We're not. We're great at picture, but we are admittedly naive in the areas of sound. So working with someone who takes sound as seriously as we take picture has been an amazing experience. And so things are still cooking. I will say that we are going to be adding audio only workflows to our solution set very shortly. There's a lot of interest in that, not doing all the transcoding and image processing, just doing, audio batch workflows. So that's going to be coming down the pike here pretty soon. And yeah, that's everything.
Okay. Maybe we can talk about that in April 2021,
Yeah.
maybe even in person. We'll see. And anything else trend wise, industry standard wise, that you guys have kind of feel like you're kind of keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I would be remiss for me not to mention, we've been working very heavily on the image processing side in the world of HDR. That's been something that, just like the cloud, ended up being a lot more complicated than we bargained for. So is HDR, but we've got awesome partners in Technicolor. They've been our technology partner, just like SkySound's been on the audio. Technicolor has really stepped up. They've licensed us some IP that allows us to do tone mapping, and so we're now finally in a position to do HDR and SDR up and down converts. And just like, this has happened a lot here at Cinnafilm anyway. You see things on the horizon coming, and you develop something very complex, and you're getting excited about it. And I'm just an inherent risk taker, so sometimes I push a little bit early, before the full market potential is realized. But oftentimes that ends up working out, and being a little bit early is oftentimes better than being late. And so doing SDR to HDR conversions properly, where it's a believable, sellable product on the other side, it was something that I didn't think could be done. Technicolor showed me it could be done, and we've combined our technology. So we've been working on that for about a year and a half, and I'm proud that we finally have a tool set that enables people to migrate their libraries from SDR to HDR reliably, so that they can take advantage of the advanced HDR by Technicolor. And this isn't a huge plug just on Technicolor. I mean, this is where we are focused on and agnostic to the various formats and standards that are out there. But we feel like we definitely got a great partner in them, and they've really taught us a lot. And so now we're in a position where we can handle, HDR workflows left, right, and I think that's going to be much more of a thing. It Dolby is certainly they've done a remarkable job in pushing the envelope in HDR, and I'm grateful for that. And so we sort of are getting swept up into this new world of HDR actually being something that's accessible. And so I'm really excited about that, and we're going to be learning a lot about in that area as well in the coming years.
Are you formally partnering with Dolby, or are you working with them as a sort of standard industry relationship?
Oh, great question. We do license Dolby technology for PixelStrings. That'll be new here in the next month or two. So if we were at NAB, I'd say, look, we're doing Dolby encode finally for our audio workflows. That was a real big important part of the component of Skywalker. So from a tactical standpoint, they are being very helpful in helping us button up all of our Dolby workflows. But we also partnered up with them a little bit differently, and I almost forgot to mention this. We are now offering Tachyon inside Dolby Hybrid, and that is something that is new, and we haven't announced it yet. We were going to sort of announce it at NAB, but that's very exciting. That's something we've been working on with David's group for a while, and so that's exciting. And then down the line, we definitely have our eyes on Atmos and Dolby Vision. We have to. Our customers need it. So, is it a formal partnership? Yes and no. I mean, it's we're a customer of Dolby's, but we're definitely we have a lot of mutual vested interest in making these things work for our customers.
Great. Well, we got a little announcement there at the end.
Yeah.
So that is fresh news, and probably a great way to wrap up.
Can I add one more thing?
Of course you can.
This is what happens. Right? The rust has to get out, right?
The beauty of doing these and not on the trade show floor.
Right. So we also have evolved Tachyon for a live solution. We will be announcing that. That was something that we were going to announce next month as well. We've got Tachyon live on-prem box solution that we're working on with Telestream. That will be announced pretty soon. It's fine that we can mention that here.
Okay, this is why you should watch to the end. Good stuff.
That's right, always. Especially the credits.
There you go. Oh, see. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lance. It was great.
My
to
pleasure.
See you.
Well, it's great to see you too, Dana. Thank you very much for having me.
And thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.